I cannot choose for you, but I can help you make your own right choice. Many are called, but few are chosen, should be. All are called, but few choose to listen. Therefore, they do not choose right. The chosen ones are merely those who choose right sooner. Right minds can do this now, and they will find rest unto their souls. God knows you only in peace, and this is your reality. All are called and few choose to listen. All are called and few choose to listen. All are called. All are called. All are called, but few choose to listen. All are called, but few choose to listen. All are called. Please listen. Okay, that's a little piece of a song. It's on Spotify called All Are Called. And it was based on this passage that we're going to read today in chapter 3, the innocent perception, chapter 3 of A Course in Miracles, the innocent perception. And this section is section 4. It's called Error and the Ego. Here we go. The abilities you now possess are only shadows of your real strength. All of your present functions are divided and open to question and doubt. This is because you are not certain how you will use them and therefore incapable of knowledge. You are also incapable of knowledge because you can still perceive lovelessly. Perception did not exist until the separation introduced degrees, aspects, and intervals. Spirit has no levels, and all conflict arises from the concept of levels. Only the levels of the Trinity are capable of unity. The levels created by the separation cannot but conflict. This is because they are meaningless to each other. Consciousness, the level of perception, was the first split introduced into the mind after the separation, making the mind a perceiver rather than a creator. Consciousness is correctly identified as the domain of the ego. The ego is a wrong-minded attempt to perceive yourself as you wish to be rather than as you are. Yet you can know yourself only as you are because that is all you can be sure of. Everything else is open to question. The ego is the questioning aspect of the post-separation self, which was made rather than created. It is capable of asking questions, but not of perceiving meaningful answers, because these would involve knowledge and cannot be perceived. The mind is therefore confused because only one-mindedness can be without confusion. A separated or divided mind must be confused. It is necessarily uncertain about what it is. It has to be in conflict because it is out of accord with itself. This makes its aspects strangers to each other, and this is the essence of the fear-prone condition in which attack is always possible. You have every reason to feel afraid as you perceive yourself. This is why you cannot escape from fear until you realize that you did not and could not create yourself. You can never make your misperceptions true, and your creation is beyond your own error. That is why you must eventually choose to heal the separation. Right-mindedness is not to be confused with the knowing mind because it is applicable only to right perception. You can be right-minded or wrong-minded, and even this is subject to degrees, clearly demonstrating that knowledge is not involved. The term, quote, right-mindedness, unquote, is properly used as the correction for, quote, wrong-mindedness, unquote, and applies to the state of mind that induces accurate perception. It is miracle-minded because it heals misperception, and this is indeed a miracle in view of how you perceive yourself. Perception always involves some misuse of mind because it brings the mind into areas of uncertainty. The mind is very active. When it chooses to be separated, it chooses to perceive. Until then, it wills only to know. Afterwards, it can only choose ambiguously. And the only way out of ambiguity is clear perception. The mind returns to its proper function only when it wills to know. This places it in the service of spirit where perception is changed. The mind chooses to divide itself when it chooses to make its own levels. But it could not entirely separate itself from spirit because it is from spirit that it derives its whole power to make or create. Even in miscreation, the mind is affirming its source, or it would merely cease to be. This is impossible because the mind belongs to spirit, which God created and which is therefore eternal. The ability to perceive made the body possible because you must perceive something and with something. That is why perception involves an exchange or translation, which knowledge does not need. The interpretative function of perception, a distorted form of creation, then permits you to interpret the body as yourself in an attempt to escape from the conflict you have induced. Spirit, which knows, could not be reconciled with this loss of power because it is incapable of darkness. This makes spirit almost inaccessible to the mind and entirely inaccessible to the body. Thereafter, spirit is perceived as a threat because light abolishes darkness merely by showing you it is not there. Truth will always overcome error in this way. This cannot be an active process of correction because, as I have already emphasized, knowledge does not do anything. It can be perceived as an attacker, but it cannot attack. What you perceive as its attack is your own vague recognition that knowledge can always be remembered, never having been destroyed. God and his creations remain in surety, and therefore know that no miscreations exist. Truth cannot deal with errors that you want. I was a man who remembered spirit and its knowledge. As a man, I did not attempt to counteract error with knowledge, but to correct error from the bottom up. I demonstrated both the powerlessness of the body and the power of the mind. By uniting my will with that of my Creator, I naturally remembered spirit and its real purpose. I cannot unite your will with God's for you, but I can erase all misperceptions from your mind if you will bring it under my guidance. Only your misperceptions stand in your way. Without them, your choice is certain. Sane perception induces sane choosing. I cannot choose for you, but I can help you make your own right choice. Many are called, but few are chosen, should be. All are called, but few choose to listen. Therefore, they do not choose right. The, quote, chosen ones, unquote, are merely those who choose right sooner. Right minds can do this now, and they will find rest unto their souls. God knows you only in peace, and this is your reality. So let's start there at the end with that quote. Believe that Jesus is here quoting Matthew. Many are called, but few are chosen. And he's reinterpreting it to be all are called, but few choose to listen. Everyone is called because of who we are. We are part and parcel of God, and we can choose to align our wills with God's or not. It's up to us. Jesus cannot do that for us, but he can help us to recognize that that's what we really want. And for we go back and forth. Without Jesus doing what he's doing here, it would be that much more difficult, because it helps to have someone who has gone all the way there to show the way. Otherwise, it's difficult. It's difficult to So he can't change your mind for you, but he can help you show why you do want that. And he can point out the errors of the ego as this or this is called error and the ego. But he can point out the errors of the ego, and he can show you why you can choose to perceive correctly now. And as you choose to perceive correctly and perceive others correctly, right-mindedly, that will help you to return to true knowledge. You go beyond the world of perception to knowledge, which would be oneness with God. Which is all we really want, because that is who we are. That is what we are. We are that. So there's a lot here that we could talk about. He starts by saying the abilities you now possess are only shadows of your real strength. We are ambivalent and divided. We're wavering, vacillating back and forth between following the ego and following spirit. And he's just helping to choose spirit, choose love, choose peace sooner, because that is what we are. We, as love, as the creation of love, we will not be satisfied until we align ourselves with that, until we become that once again, or not become that because we are already that, but when we remember that we are that. And we can only do that by using the ways of seeing that Jesus is presenting. So let's see. I think that one of the running themes here is that spirit, or you could say love, God, all the terms are really synonymous. Spirit does not do anything. It just is. He makes the point that oh wait, sorry, I moved to the next section. So spirit, because it just is, it does not do anything. It definitely does not attack, but it could be perceived by us as an attacker. But the reality is that it just is, and it is just waiting for our return. And we can perceive it as an attacker. We can perceive God, for example, as a vengeful God that is going to punish us, is going to judge us. But that is merely the misperception of the ego. Anyway, many nuances here that we could go into, but let's leave it at that for tonight. And continue with this chapter next time. And thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for listening to your heart. Thank you for for choosing to listen. And we'll, not to me, but just to the profound words of the Course. And we'll see you next time. Adios.